Happy to be joined by UFC President Dana White ahead of UFC 269. I'm happy to see that you're doing okay. I know last week you talked about your family had a bout with COVID, and it's nice to see you back. But I did want to ask about this last weekend's card before we get to this weekend. Did you watch that card from home? And if so, what was that experience like for you? Because I imagine you don't do that very often.
Yeah, I did watch it from home, but I prefer to be there. I'd rather be there and watch the fights live than watch them on TV and at home.
Were you patched in with the truck from your house? Do you have like a headset?
No, but I was texting the truck. Yeah, I was just firing text.
Well, that must have been a very different experience for you. Again, I'm happy to see that you're doing all right, and that we've got this incredible card coming up. UFC 269, Dustin Poirier and Charles Oliveira. In your opinion, is the winner of this fight the fighter of the year for 2021? I know they've got stiff competition with Usman, but I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I think that, Usman and whoever wins this fight will be neck and neck. It's a tough one. You'd have to throw Rose in there, too. Rose has had a pretty badass year.
Yeah, Rose won twice this year. I forgot about that. Yeah, she's had a great year as well. Dustin Poirier, the favorite over Charles Oliveira. Do you agree with those odds?
Dustin Poirier, the favorite?
Yeah, he's the betting favorite against Charles Oliveira. Do you think that's
what's
right?
the line?
I think he's minus 165 thereabouts.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, when you look at Dustin, what he's done, what he's accomplished, he's a bigger guy. I think he has the advantage on his feet. I think if it goes to the ground, obviously Oliveira has the advantage. I think that's a pretty good line.
Does Oliveira get enough credit for what he's done in the sport? He could actually set the record for the most bonuses this weekend in UFC history. He has the most submission wins in UFC history. Just turned 32 like a couple months ago. It's amazing what this guy's accomplished.
No, he doesn't get enough credit. And that's one of the things. With some guys, it takes longer than others. You know what I mean? Oliveira's had a long, hard road. But like you said, I mean, the guy's got 28 of his 31 wins are by finish. He's got a 90% finish rate. Has the record for most finishes in the UFC, most submission wins in the UFC, most performance of the night bonuses, second most post-fight bonuses in UFC history. I mean, the guy is an absolute stud. He's just got to keep grinding and knocking him down, and eventually his day will come. Usman's another one that never got the credit until, just recently.
And Oliveira doing it in perhaps the toughest weight class to do it in the sport.
100%.
Now, right now, 7 of the UFC's champions are between 32 and 34 years of age. You've watched the sport for such a long time. Do you believe that to be a mixed martial artist's athletic prime is between those years?
I always look at the prime between, 28, 29, 30. But maybe you're right. Maybe in MMA, that is the prime.
Yeah, we only have 2 champions in their 20s right now. You got Moreno, and I guess Petr Yan's the interim champion, but you got Yan, Moreno, and Rose. Everybody else seems to be almost at the latter part of their career. It's just kind of interesting to see that happen at this stage. There's just so much to learn for these athletes, and Dustin Poirier explains it in kind of a cool way. He says this is like your mind is down here when you start, and your skills and I guess your energy level are up here, and that there's just a certain point where they kind of meet.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent way to put it. Yeah. Yeah, and maybe you're right. Maybe that is the prime in MMA.
Now, Amanda Nunes, she continues to be a sizable favorite in her fights this weekend against Julianna Peña. And I'm not trying to disregard Peña when I ask this, but do you believe that a bout with Valentina Shevchenko is on the horizon? Shevchenko also a massive favorite in most of her fights. They've fought twice before. Do you think in 2022, should Nunes beat Peña, that we're going to see that fight?
I don't know if that fight needs to happen. I don't know. I've thought about it a lot. They're both incredible in their own weight classes. Why? They already fought twice. Why do it again? I would imagine if they wanted to do it bad enough and the fans wanted it bad enough, I would do it. But I don't see much point in it.
I'm curious, who do you think is the toughest test for Nunes in the sport right now? Like, if you were to pick any one opponent and say this person has the best chance of beating Amanda Nunes, is it Valentina?
I don't know. I honestly don't know that. I think that Amanda Nunes is, and here's the thing that's unfair for Valentina. She's a lot bigger than her. You know what I mean? Amanda Nunes is bigger than her. 35 and 45 pound women, she can fight. Valentina is without a doubt the baddest woman in the world in her weight division and below. You know what I mean? But to move up with that much weight, yeah, can she hang? Will it go to a split decision? And you know what I mean? So it's tough to call.
Absolutely, and we know that the featherweight division took a bit of a hit this past week. Felicia Spencer announced that she's retiring from the sport. How much of a future does this division have in the UFC? And right now, the biggest female free agent in the sport is Kayla Harrison. She fights at 55, 45. Do you think that this division has a future in the UFC?
I have that division. The division is still there for the champ. The day she says she doesn't want to defend that belt anymore, we'd probably let it go. It's there for her. And I'm interested in the whole Kayla Harrison thing. She thinks she's the best in the world. There's only one way to find out. Come over here and fight the GOAT.
Have there been talks with her? She is a free agent. She's been meeting with the different promotions.
Yeah, she's been talking to us. Yeah, for sure.
You had mentioned last year you didn't think that she could necessarily hang with the best women in the promotion. But it seems like her aspiration is to be the greatest of all time. And there's only one way to do that. Would you agree?
Yeah. There's only one way to do that. You want to be the greatest of all time? You come fight the GOAT.
Well, they're friends and training partners, but it seems like they understand that business is business.
Well, first of all, Amanda Nunes is one of the best athletes I've ever worked with. And she doesn't play all that goofy. We're friends.
And she doesn't seem to play around much. She's happy to face anybody. Cody Garbrandt faces Kai Kara-France in his flyweight debut this weekend at UFC 269. Now, he was scheduled to fight for the title late last year. Should he get a win against Kai Kara-France? Is he right there in the title picture at flyweight?
Yeah, I mean, he is. Let me look at this thing. I mean, Kai Kara-France is ranked number 6. So a win over him, might put him in the top 5.
Do you think this can revive his career? Is this new look at 125 pounds?
He's telling me he's never felt better. He's saying he feels incredible. Should have done this a long time ago. We'll find out on Saturday.
If you look at the weights, when he was fighting in California, they released the fight night weights. He actually weighed less than Henry Cejudo did on fight night. And Cejudo was fighting at 125 that night. He was fighting TJ at 135.
He's saying he feels great. He said he feels incredible, and he thinks he really made a big mistake in his career not doing it sooner.
Now, there have been some reports that have surfaced recently about cards coming to London, England in March. Now, Columbus, Ohio was another report at the end of March. Is this just some one-off events being fight nights, or are we looking to start resuming fight nights at different locations, as of April, after these events?
I mean, I've said it many times. I'm looking to, we're traveling around. We're only going to go to places that are easy to do business in, and that we can roll in and don't have to worry about any nutty shit.
Does London fit into that category right now? I don't know what the situation is.
I don't know. They're hot and cold. 1 minute they are, and 1 minute they're not.
So are you just not looking too far down the road, because we don't know what's going to happen? Everything's always seemingly up in the air right now. Are you just taking it kind of a couple months at a time?
100%. Taking it a week at a time.
Last we spoke, you mentioned that you were trying to get a fight for Khamzat Chimaev by the end of the year. It doesn't look like that's going to happen at this point in time with only 2 cards left. How soon can we expect to see him back in the UFC?
Yeah, I don't know. We're trying. We're working on that one. He's not very popular with the other fighters. He's popular with the fans, but...
Well, in the last hour, Neil Magny was on the MMA Hour and was talking about how he wants to fight Chimaev. He's screaming from the rooftops. Is that a potential fight?
Yeah, possibly.
So you don't have a particular opponent right now for Khamzat that you have penciled in, that you're just waiting for paperwork to come in or anything like that?
We do.
You do? Okay. Any tips? Any hints?
Nope.
Now, I've noticed a trend with you, and I don't mean to dig into your personal life here, but you've been betting on guys like Canelo Alvarez to win inside the distance. You bet on Terence Crawford to win inside the distance. You were quiet when Teofimo Lopez fought. Did you lose any money betting on Teofimo Lopez? He was a big name in that fight.
No, I didn't bet on that fight. I bet on Tyson Fury by knockout, Canelo by knockout, and Crawford by knockout.
Well, so he was the next big name. What was your hesitation on betting? Obviously, it was the right decision.
Well, then when I started doing it, I got... Anthony Pettis is calling me now saying, hey, let's bet on this one. Let's do this. We talked about a couple of those fights. but I didn't like him. I felt like I didn't know enough about it. Wasn't into it. I felt like Crawford was going to go in. Many people believed that Crawford wouldn't knock Porter out, and I believed that he could. So that's why I laid the money on him. And I don't sports bet a lot. I don't like betting on sports. I was actually going to bet on the Patriots against the Bills the other night, and then all of a sudden I saw the weather, and I was like, yeah, no way, I'm betting on this game with this weather.
So you should have been the other way around. You should have bet more money, because Belichick in those situations is like, he's the general. Like, he knows what he's. They didn't even have a quarterback for the most part. They just kept running the ball down the Bills' throat.
You got a rookie quarterback who came from Alabama. Okay, they ain't playing in 55-mile-an-hour winds that makes it like 10 below zero with the wind chill factor and snow and rain, and he's not used to playing in that shit.
Yeah, someone dug up a tweet from Mac Jones from a couple years ago where he said, I've never seen snow before. So your instincts are probably right on that one.
Yeah. And the game almost gave me a heart attack as it was. If I had a bunch of money on it, it would have killed me. So I'm glad I didn't. I don't sports bet.
And finally, I want you to weigh in on what's been a hotly contested debate in the mixed martial arts space. Who's the best boxer in mixed martial arts? You got all these different guys coming out of the woodwork saying that it's them. Do you have an opinion on this?
Who's arguing about it? Conor and Max, and who else?
We got Petr Yan, people are saying is the best. Dustin Poirier wants the credit. Adrian Yanez, who fought this past weekend, or a couple weeks ago, wants some credit. All these guys want to declare themselves to be the best boxer, but you've been around the sport and the sport of boxing for such a long time. I'm curious to hear what your input is.
So they're arguing over whether they're the best boxer in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea, man. It's such a difference. It's so different, I don't like the idea of any of these guys boxing. Obviously, if you look at Conor and Mayweather, not only did Conor do well, he looked good. He looked like he belonged in there. He didn't look like a guy that didn't belong in their boxing. You know what I mean? Whether he's the best in the sport, I honestly don't know the answer to that.
Do you ever think about holding cards, like boxing cards with the guys on the UFC roster? Or is that just kind of a waste of time because you're taking them out of the cage?
No, I think it's silly. I think these guys that put on fights where there's different fights going on with different rules and all this shit is absolutely ridiculous. So, it's not for me.
All right, Dana, pleasure speaking with you. This is the fight I've been most looking forward to in 2021. Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, for, I think, the champion of the best division in the sport. Thanks for joining me. Really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again in the new year.
Thanks for having me, buddy.